Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's tech tips. Today's session is all about Microsoft Bookings. So this platform has been around for a while. We've been using it on campus for a little while, but I know it can be unfamiliar to some people, and the design of this platform has changed since it initially launched. So I wanted to just give you kind of a quick demo of what I think of as to why to use this. Here's why. Here's how appointment scheduling should not occur, okay? Looking at a paper planner and asking, okay, are you available Tuesday at 2? No. Wednesday at 3? No. Okay, Friday, 8 a.m.? No. All right, let me see. Let me skip ahead a week. Let's see, Monday, 8:30? No. You can see how much time it can waste by having that back and forth on checking on who's available, when you're available, who else can make it, especially if you have a live group. I'm sure you've all felt this feeling of just your time draining trying to schedule a meeting and to coordinate with everyone else's schedules. It can be exhausting. I just personally, I had a funeral this weekend, and I don't know about y'all, but when I attend a funeral, it always gets me thinking of just what you're doing, how busy you are, how you're spending your time. And I had a great mentor tell me about 2 years ago that it's not how busy you are that makes a difference, it's how you use and leverage your time. And I thought that was so brilliant because as a struggling perfectionist and an expert in being busy, that's one of the things that I always kind of surround myself with is doing things and serving others and working towards that. And I think that's what's drawn me so much to these tools in Microsoft is that there are new methods to alleviate some of that busyness in my life and be equipped with these tools to use to eliminate some of that busyness. So Microsoft's Bookings is exactly that. It's meant to streamline all of that busyness and scheduling appointments, that frustration that you might have, and it's meant to streamline it to give you an online platform. So we'll go ahead, I'll pull up slides and we can kind of dive into our session today to take a further look at Microsoft Bookings. This, like I said, this technology isn't necessarily new. It's a couple years old for us, but they have made some really big updates. So we'll go through those updates today. And if you haven't attended a session with me before, I am Amanda Pritchard. I work in the Office of Information Technology, and we host these sessions regularly just so that campus can be aware of any big updates or upgrades or changes to technology that might impact you. So we love being able to share that information with you and just have this time to kind of talk about it. Today's session is being held as a live event. We do have it posted in the chat. One of the top questions that we receive is this being recorded? And it is being recorded right now. So if you want to follow up with that later, you can look at us up at UT Dallas on YouTube. You'll be able to find our information there, and you can subscribe to that channel so that anytime that you're looking for a video, needing a quick tip, you'll be able to find it there. So we've got that posted in the chat. If you've never been in a live event before, you can see that that chat is, it'll come on the right side of your screen, and it's a moderated Q&A. So it'll say Q&A for you, and you can open that up, and anytime you need to post a comment to us, a question to us, any kind of a feedback, or if I ask a question and you want to add some information, please feel free to go ahead and post there. You'll be able to share any of those, any of your ideas or thoughts or questions, but feel free. It is moderated, so what that means is it'll take somebody on the back end just a second to look at that, read it, and get back with you. And then if you don't already know, a live event allows you to go backwards in time, so you can rewind to rewatch anything that I'm showing you today. You can also pause it if you need to grab a glass of water, or if the dog is barking, driving, anything like that, you're able to pause and then regain your focus on today's session. All right, great. We'll go ahead and click next. And while I'm just talking about this, if you can navigate to that chat, then you're able to navigate to that chat and give it a thumbs up. That just makes sure that we know that you all can get there. I did see a question that if you can turn on captions, it is enabled. So you just would navigate and turn that on yourself under your system settings, and you're able to turn that on. So closed captioning is enabled for today's session. I'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about our IT forum. It is coming up on August the 18th. We host these sessions about 3 times a year, and it's our opportunity in OIT to share any big campus upgrades, any big changes. One of the things that's on the list that's coming up, well, I'll talk about 2 just briefly. One is about the enhancements that we've done to our Wi-Fi network. There are now more places outside on campus than ever was before where you can access the Wi-Fi. And so if you need that, while you're walking around on campus and want to stay connected, you can now do that. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is some gender identity settings that are going to be coming out in Orion for our students to be able to select their pronoun preferences. So we're going to delve a lot more deeply into those in the IT forum, but those are just a couple of services to show how OIT is working for you. So we've got the QR code if you would like to scan that. It's also going to be in our chat. So I'm just scanning over here. It looks like some people were able to navigate. Give that a thumbs up. So that's wonderful. I see that you're able to interact with us. That's critical for our sessions. So great. We'll go ahead to the next slide. And we're going to just jump right in to bookings. If you've done any session with me before, you know my favorite way to navigate to all of Microsoft apps is just by going directly to office.com. That website is going to allow you to access all of the apps that you need. Anything that we provide or we offer services on in OIT is going to be listed there. So you'll see that I circled it on this slide, but if you're wanting to follow along today, you're able to follow along. If you want to just watch, that's fine too. I do want to just preface today's session with, if you are trying to follow along, you'll be naming your bookings calendar, and that it will be the name that it is. So you may want to wait and see what's available and see how it works before you create your own calendar. And you don't have to, though, if you want to go ahead and create. But if you go to office.com, you do have to log in with that net ID and password. I always select those dots at the very tip top of the screen, and then you're able from there, if you'll see I have it circled on the screen here, select bookings. So that way you can just get to that software directly. Okay, next slide. So biggest question we always get if you're not familiar with this, and please give me a couple answers in the chat. If you're already using bookings, would you just let me know and go ahead and post in our moderated chat? Because that's really helpful to me to understand who's already playing around with it some and who maybe has not ever used it. But in essence, bookings is our appointment scheduler. So anytime you need an appointment, I'll give you a couple of use cases off the top of my head, and then if you want to post in that Q&A, you are able to do that too with ideas that you may have. I know that there's a lot of times that we can come up with use cases, but you all may have ideas beyond. So appointments for interviews, counseling, office hours, tours. We've even had appointments for tours. Those are a few just off the top of my head. If you all have other ideas or use it and leverage this technology in different ways, please post in the chat, because I love getting an idea of how people are using the technology that we have. So those are just a couple types of appointments. But anytime you would need to schedule an appointment, what's brilliant about bookings is that it just automatically can help access your schedule and share your availability. So when you're you're setting up that calendar, you can book a time based on when somebody is already available, and it will show you that. So you don't have to do the old, what time, oh, it's upside down. What time can you meet? When are you available? It's just going to show you that. And you pick a time, the user picks a time at their convenience, which is brilliant. And in case you're like me and you need a lot of reminders, there are automated reminders that are sent before those meetings. And just to clarify, it's an online scheduler, but you can schedule a meeting in person or online. So don't feel like it's limited to just online. You can schedule these appointments, it can book it on your calendar, and you can still have a meeting in person. Okay, next, please. Okay, great. I'm looking now at your comments. Yes, several people are using it. How is it different than Find Time? Great question. We'll get to that. Used it from coworkers' emails, haven't set one up themselves yet. Uses it for all students to schedule all appointments. I'm just reading these comments. This is great use cases. I love it. Okay, great. So a little different than Find Time in that you would use it for more of those recurring appointments. If you're meeting with vendors and you only have one meeting that you need to schedule, bookings may be a little bit too elaborate. It's more for if you offer multiple services and routinely need to schedule things. So this is more for that routine scheduling. So another big question that we always get is, can it schedule for rooms or equipment? So I put on this, no, it's people only. This is meant to schedule a meeting with a person, whether virtual or online. It's meant to schedule that so that you can have that direct contact. Just answering a quick chat. Okay, wonderful. So it's meant to have that kind of that direct in person. So it's not meant, some people ask, is it meant for room reservations? Is it meant to loan out equipment? It's really not designed to do that. So you'll notice there'll be some barriers and some complications there if you do try to set it up as a tool to leverage that equipment. So it does actually create an Outlook calendar request when someone selects that time, and it'll book that time on your calendar. Okay, next. Okay, so just so you know some of those common terms in bookings, I think it's great. I am going to demo the product, but I think it's great to get that familiarity with some of the terminology first. So there's a bookings calendar. That's what we're about to create, and I'm going to walk you through some I've already created. And that calendar just integrates with Outlook. You can also preview it on Teams. So it's just another way to preview calendar. You can look at a glance at staff availability. Service is that type of appointment on the bookings calendar. So a service would be something that you would want to schedule, an offering that you have, whether it's, again, those advising appointments, counseling appointments, time for office hours that you want to have. I've hosted office hours before, so it just is that service. Whatever that special offering is considered your service. Preface this with, bookings was created originally, you'll see on the kind of the older version, it was created for people who sell services, so such as like the hair salon, which is kind of my go-to, is if you're looking to book an appointment at a hair salon, so there was a cost associated with it. For us, there's no cost, but just to be aware that it's kind of that service industry thing. Okay, and staff, those are individuals. It doesn't have to be individuals you actually manage. It's just individuals on that team. It's the group of people that can be booked, that are offering that service, supporting that service. So for example, one of the examples I'll use today is tech bar tours. I could have a lot of people listed as staff that aren't necessarily on my team, but they may be available to help with those tours. So that would be the staff that you can add into your bookings calendar. And the booking page is what the user sees. So it's what that end user would see as a preview of your page, so that they would be able to make their appointments from there, and they could get a list of your services. Okay. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and move next, please. big question that we always get is where can get more information? I know a lot of people want a step-by-step guide so that you can access that information, get further details or further clarity if you need it. So we have gone ahead and we have put together a robust knowledge-based articles, which are in essence those how-to guides that allow you to check in and get information and follow through. If you have a very specific question, today's training is going to be the generalized information, but if you have a very specialized question, I put a little snippet of some of the frequently asked questions there. You're able to get to those articles through our chat. We've just published that in the chat. So you're able to pull up those articles then and take a look and delve a little bit deeper once you've set up your calendar and maybe have some very specific use cases with your staff or with your individuals. Okay, I'm double checking my slide printouts to make sure. Okay, I think that's all that we have slide wise. I'm double checking chat to make sure. Okay, I see some people are having a few issues with calendar syncing, and I'm just looking. Okay, great. Lots of y'all are sending me great chats, and I love this. I love your uses and your engagement. Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen and maneuver things around a little bit so that we can actually go on and set up our calendar and see what that looks like and see what services are available. So I'm going to move y'all over here and start sharing mine. Give me just 1 second. Okay, that should be syncing. So I've got it pulled up, but just for clarity's sake, to ensure that you know exactly how to navigate, we're going to jump back to office.com. That's where we said to start for any time you're trying to access any of the Microsoft apps. So you can see those are the dots that I took a little picture of, and you can see bookings right here. It's kind of that teal colored B. So if you're following along, you'll want to go ahead and navigate there. If you just want to watch and learn, that's completely fine too. You're welcome to do either, but I do want to make sure that everybody can see how to get there. And then just a note of clarity, I don't think I did mention this earlier. Faculty and staff automatically have access. Students can request access if they're an RA or a TA and need to have that additional access. It is a request with the help desk that needs to be submitted. They do not automatically have licenses for this. So just a point of clarification. So if you're a student watching, you may see that that causes you a little bit of a glitch. You do not have to create a calendar to schedule an appointment on somebody else's. So just another clarification. Really, you're creating these calendars because you are offering recurring services that you want it to be able to be produced or sent out to others so that they can access that service. So just a point of clarification. Okay, so we went to bookings. If you've been on before, you're probably familiar with this. I'm actually going to jump on to a different calendar, maybe if it'll let me. Maybe it doesn't want to. Okay, I'm going to see if I can toggle here. No. Okay, if you've used this before, this is your main preview page. And if you've been using it for a while, you'll see up here in the upper right that there's the option to try the new bookings. We're going to go ahead and toggle that just so that you can see what that looks like. It's confirming my automatic replies are on. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make sure it's super clear and seeing this. So we're going to look a little bit at the new bookings and we're going to look at the old. I wanted to just to show you how simple this is though. If you don't like the new visualization, you can toggle it on and off. So it just takes it a second and you'll see that it's pulling up right now one calendar at a time as opposed to multiple. I've already set up calendars for the purpose of today's training. So if this is your first time logging in, it's going to ask you what you want to name it. It's going to ask you if you have like a profile image that we've already put in here, and just a few basic questions to get your calendar set up and synced. So if you're following along, it may not look exactly like what mine looks like at this moment. And that's just because I've already set these up just so that we have a couple of options. Okay, I'm going to go to the main one that I'll be showing you. If you haven't already set one up, what's great about this is that it will kind of walk you through and give you just a little bit of a guide of what's changed using the new interface. So you're able to see that there and have a little walkthrough in case you need an introduction to understand what has changed here. So we're looking at a calendar again. I've already set it up, so that's great. This calendar has staff assigned, so this is a great preview to be able to see based on your staffing who is available and at what times they're available. So the calendars will automatically sync from this once you add your staff in there. So I'm going to jump down to staff just to show you how easy this is to add a new staff. I'm going to go ahead and, so I just selected add new staff when you're setting up your calendar. Again, this doesn't mean it's people that you manage, it's whoever you need to have access. And then you can add their name. So picking on Norelli here, you can see that team members can manage bookings on their own calendar and their availability. So it's going to pull in his calendar when I add him as a staff member. And then of course you want to leave this checked because you want to know that you want the staff member to know that you're adding in this calendar in case that anything has changed. And you can see here, if you have student workers or maybe your services are open certain hours, there's multiple ways you can add people's availability. If you're having issues with somebody's availability, I did see that in the chat, that it's not pulling their calendar, you may want to check here to make sure their availability is not restricted. Because let's say Norelli is only on campus on Mondays. We could take and adjust the time if we needed to and select, instead of using regular business hours, I could delete some of these extra days to say that absolutely we can't book appointments that day. He's booked or he's doing something else. But you can modify this based on your particular services that you're offering and your staff's availability. So, for example, I'm going to go back to the tech bar tours. When we were doing those and we still have them on occasion, we may only want to offer that one day a week. So we may not want it to be a service offering all the time, or maybe we have only certain staff scheduled there on certain days, but you're able to make those adjustments here and then save those changes. He would get an email notification that he has been added to this calendar. So this is a great quick way that you can add in however many staff members you need, and then you can see the different roles next to their names too. So you're able to view that. This is my testing account, but you're able to see those different roles and modify them if you do need multiple people on here. If you just need somebody on as a guest just to be assigned, if they're maybe an external person, you're able to do that as well. So there's a number of roles and then a number of ways where you can modify that scheduling. And then like for me, it just pulls up over this little preview. This is the testing account. And you can also preview those calendars. So I always recommend you can put in as many staff members as you want to have access to the calendar, as you want to have access to be booked. They don't have to be available for every service. You're able to adjust that. And then if you do realize that you've got somebody extra on there, it's just a matter of toggling over their name and pressing delete to have them removed. Okay. Okay, I'm reading through there's so many questions. I don't know if I'll be able to answer all of them in this short time. When you open your calendar for the first time and you name it, that's the name. So you'll need to get help to change it if there are changes that you realize, whoops, I misspelled Microsoft. So you'll have to get help to do that. And when you're adding a staff member on, it will let them know that this is meant to access your calendar, and they have to open up that email and accept it if that's the access that they want to be granted to. So it doesn't show, if you saw on my calendar, somebody was asking, does it show what you're doing? Does it show kind of your schedule? Let me jump back here. What it shows on here is the times that you're busy. So it's by sharing their availability, it's not sharing their full calendar. It's not telling everyone every detail of what we're doing. So I did get a question on that is, will everybody be able to see what I'm doing? It's just a matter of what you're already booked up for, and then you could see like there's that little sliver of time that is available here by day. So that's all it's showing. And so by opening up that confirmation when you send it to a staff, they can confirm that they want to have access to your calendar. So it's kind of a two-way. You assign them, they accept it. Questions on that? Okay, I've seen a couple questions. If there's an issue with your bookings calendar, probably best to go ahead and open up a ticket because I will not be able to troubleshoot that in the training. So I'm glancing. So I think some of these are troubleshooting. So we'll look at that, and I'll be able to answer them. I can focus more clearly on those details. Okay, so we added our staff. Now we're going to go ahead and navigate to services. And I think this is important for everybody to realize you can add as many services as you want to. You can have them on or take them off. So after a service is over, if you need to remove it, you're able to take it off your calendar just kind of to hide it. So what we're going to do is you can just see here, you can add services that last a different amount of time that are owned by different people. And you can see if it's not published, that one was just one we were testing out. But we'll go ahead and add a new service because likely if you're opening a new calendar, you may not have already created a service. So we'll go ahead and add a new service here. So adding a service, this is the new bookings viewing, which to me is more like more icon based as opposed to a lot of heavy text. It feels a little bit easier to kind of flow through that. But again, if you don't like that, I had somebody just mentioning, if you don't like the way that that preview is, you can go back to the old one anytime. Okay, so let's see here. We just had an art contest in the technology bar, so that's fresh on my mind. So we'll go ahead and do art contest voting. Any description that you want to have about that, come prepared with your cell phone in hand to take pictures and look at the artwork. You'll be meeting with multiple people. Anything, any description that you want to help your end users know a little bit more about the service that they're booking, you can put there. Location, if it is someplace on campus or around campus that they're actually going to that physical location, you can add it. If it's a virtual meeting, you do need to select that little toggle for add online meeting. It will create a Teams meeting automatically. So if you want an anonymous meeting link to be sent, you can do that. Otherwise, it'll just kind of come out as a Teams meeting. But you can see that that's pretty much the only change there when selecting that. For duration, that's how long that appointment that they're scheduling with you, how long do you want that appointment to last? So if you want it to last for days, be my guest. It defaults to about 30 minutes, so you're able to adjust it there depending on whatever length of time that you need for that particular session. So you can build in, and I highly recommend if you don't, build in buffer time. We've used these also for interviews. You need a few minutes after or before each interview to pull up like resumes, information. I know counseling needs some time to pull up their notes, pull up any references that they have. So you can build in some buffer time before these appointments so that you can have 10 minutes to prepare, 15 minutes, or 15 minutes after, so that you can kind of get on a group call and discuss any type of situations. Again, since this was kind of set as a service kind of appointment booking for vendors, you can see here that there's a price. So you can just leave it as price not set or free. If you want to charge, that's up to your department. So I'll just let you guys figure that out. Notes are just for you, any kind of quick notes that you want to make about this or to your team. One of the things I like about this too is we've done office hours. So sometimes office hours you can do as a group for our Microsoft Ambassador program. We want a lot of people there, everybody in the same room, everybody asking those questions and being able to have that kind of collaborative meeting. So there are use cases where you may want multiple people able to attend, or for our art contest, let's say we want as many people coming by voting, you're able to put that maximum number of people that can book that time, or you're able to limit it to that one-on-one appointment if you are having a private consultation with a student about the grades or conduct or anything that you want to have that exclusive time with them. You're able to set those attendees. After that, you have this toggle in place that lets customers manage their appointment. So let's say maybe this relates to you, you make an appointment, you fully intend on going, something comes up, you need to cancel or reschedule, allowing your customers, the end users, that flexibility. You can toggle that on if you want them to be able to cancel it, if you want them to be able to make those adjustments. Okay, so we've got, this is for art contest voting. We're going to go ahead and save those changes here. And again, I didn't build in buffer time, but you can certainly make whatever adjustments that you want to. Because I selected it as an online meeting, you'll see that little option for the Teams meeting, that icon previews, versus some of these others that are not there. So you're able to see that on the list of services right here. I'm going to just show you real quick. Let's see if it'll move through a little hyperspace here, what this looks like in the old version. My preference is still the older version. I got used to it, guilty as charged, so that familiarity is there. But if you prefer this, but you're able to see kind of some of these sessions here, and there's that art contest. And again, don't have to have the price, but you can pull it up here and just see a little bit of difference. Again, this is just more heavy text, little bit of difference, and then you can add in additional email reminders or any information that you want there. So I have frozen there, frozen screen there. Okay, so I will just jump back over to that new interface just so that you can take a look at that there. Again, you can add as many services as you want to, and then let me try shrinking my screen just for a moment because I zoomed in quite a bit. But you'll be able to see, let's jump back on my art contest. Excellent. You'll be able to see a little preview of the information that you preset. And then if you want to assign particular staff, you are able to assign, let's say I only have a few team members that are related to this project. So only they would need to be associated with these meetings. So we can jump over to staff here and be able to preview. No, you're not on any. Let's see what I'm on. I put myself on all of them, but you'll be able to preview too, kind of those services that they're set with. So who's doing what and who can be booked. So on our services, we have a number of services available, different people that are able to manage those. I'm going to pause here and just catch up with the chat because I see that it's on fire right now. Good clarification from Ron. If you're setting up a service and you select to meet with more than one person, you're not able to change it to one person later. So if you think, okay, this is going to be a great group event, and then you realize, oh, it's not a great group event, you can't reduce it to just one. But you saw how quick it is to add that new service. So you could kind of change that service name to Art Contest Voting One-on-One versus art contest voting group, and then change that number of attendees. But if you do make it a large group and then try to shrink it back down to one-on-one, there's some complications there. So excellent clarification there. So great questions here. One of the questions was benefit of using this. If you're in a larger department, or if you have a lot of events that are coming up, or let's say I work with a lot of students, not all of them know directly who I am or who my team is to know to check that person's individual Outlook calendar. And they don't know that it's okay to just go ahead and make an appointment, right? You wouldn't just show up to a doctor's house and say, "Hey, I'm here. Let's meet." You would call and make an appointment. So that's one of the benefits of having these bookings calendars is you create a custom URL, which then you can put on websites, you could put on your email, you can publish it on social media, and that is how individuals then would contact your group. And just like you see these number of services, I may have people that specialize on Teams ambassadors versus the student club management. I can ensure that the service that I'm offering goes to the right staff member that can support that because I control who is connecting with what service. So that's a great benefit because I might have somebody reach out to me and need assistance on, let's say, desktop support. Well, we actually have a different team for that. So even though I was available and my calendar said I was available, it may be the wrong type of meeting. So this allows you to very clearly reach out to people and say, these are the things that we offer. Here's the interviews that we do. I know that Career Center uses this sometimes for resume practice or resume review, interview prep. Those are all services that they offer, and they have specialists that support those particular services. So this is connecting those people to those services and showing you their availability of time. So for me, when doing interviews and hiring, this is all I will use because it puts that guesswork out of, are you available? Are you available? This is the core group that needs to have access to that interview, and it connects the right people. So, okay. And then if you are looking, there's a number of, another question came in, if you're looking for somebody else's calendar or looking for other calendars, you are able to click here. If you know the name of it, you're able to click here and enter that name and be able to search for additional calendars or somebody else's, another team, another departments, you're able to see it there. So all of this services, setting up your staff is all ultimately, this is the behind the scenes of what the customer would see. So ultimately, all of this prep work is for you to get to your booking page, and I'll zoom back in a little bit, got that there. So yes, so clarification, connecting a specific group to a specific service is why you would opt to use bookings, so that you'll have that together there. Okay, great. So opening up this booking page, this is letting you know how you want it to configure. So right now, mine is available to anyone. Anyone with the internet can book an appointment. So I have it set that way again. If we're hiring, they won't have a UTD email. They won't have Microsoft 365 necessarily. So this is available to anyone. You can select what works for your individual needs. If you only work with students or with UT Dallas staff and faculty, then you're able to select only in your organization. Or if you need it just to be an internal bookings calendar, if you're working with different advisors and you only want it to be available for who can meet internally, you can have that as well. So you can schedule that and configure it. Then you can see here, it's going to give you a link to your particular bookings page. You're able to copy that, you're able to email it, or again, if you want to embed this on your website, a Microsoft Sway, or put it in a form, anything, any way to kind of integrate these platforms together, you're able to do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it up here, and we'll paste it in, let it load. This is what the end users see. So all of that setup that we did on the back end of creating the services, managing our staff, all of that is to gain this final result here. You can have multiple services. What I love is I try not to delete my services because they may come back again. So you can create a service, modify it, and then you can determine when you want it published or when you would like it taken down as well. So there are some recurring appointments. I know that maybe international student offices might only have times where they're talking about F1 visas, only have times where they're talking about joining UT Dallas, or only have times that they're talking about applications. You can open a service up and then close it depending on your particular timeline. So right now I have several showing just so that you can see kind of that visualization. So we'll go ahead and select our art contest here. Then down below, it's going to show kind of the available days and times, which won't be super many, but it depends too on your staff and who's available. So you can click on the dates to be able to preview, and we'll jump ahead to August so that you can just kind of preview those dates and time. And this is what the end user sees. So to book a time, they simply would toggle over that date, get a preview of the time, and then they're able to add their details below if they have any special requests, need accommodations, need directions, anything to that effect. They can communicate that with you here and then be able to book that appointment. When you book it, it's going to, oh, because I tried to skip ahead and not fill out the required information. Okay, so optional, we'll go ahead and book that. It's going to take just a second to kind of check those calendars. It'll book it, and I'll get an email confirmation probably twice because I may have just confused it because I'm the one that owns this calendar and I just booked an appointment with myself. So we'll see if I've just broken the multiverse here, maybe, but that's okay. We have more. But back on this booking page, any changes of services that you want to make, any customizations, if you want it, like, let's see, I broke the system. All right, there'll be a whole nother help desk ticket on that one. But if you want to do any kind of customization here, changing time zone, right, especially if you're meeting with students in a different country, if you need to make those adjustments, you're able to do that. Or if you're out of town traveling and you need to make those adjustments. And then any of these modifications, you're able to do that. I will jump on this little customization here. Beautiful. So this is with the new bookings. Again, they've made it a little bit more icon based, but you're able to just quickly adjust and preview kind of those colors of your theme to be able to specify that if you have a specific color, UTB brand color that you would like, you're able to insert that, and then you can upload and decide if you want that logo to preview or not. Okay, I'm going to jump out of the new and go back to the old just to show you a few little differences here. There was still that customization. You can determine, this is just the same thing as those page settings of, do you want them to already have a Microsoft 365 account or not in order to set this up? So you can see that there. You can save and publish. Let's say Microsoft 365, we're not doing consultations, we stopped helping people. I could unpublish the page to take that down so that you would no longer see it. If you want that page embed, that's also there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yes, the other couple of things that I think are helpful on that booking page. You may not want to accommodate last minute requests or last minute bookings. We've had issues with that where somebody will book a one-on-one consultation at a physical location 5 minutes before, and we need the time to travel from our location there or to adjust and make sure that there's proper coverage. You can set that lead time for how many hours they need to have in advance to book that time, or number of days in advance that they can make, and then minimum, you have to give it at least 24 hours. You can only book out to 6 days in advance, let's say. But you're able to make those adjustments on your calendar so that you have time to prepare for those meetings and prepare for that information. Okay. I'm jumping back. I'm looking at my other screen here for chat. Oh, and I did miss. I did miss how it integrates with Teams. So I apologize about that, but I will show that real quick. And I will walk you through that whole process. Let me just zoom in a little bit and then I'll pull this calendar over. I like going to it through the big platform because I do feel like, just as I've walked you through, you're able to make some of those changes change availability of when you want those appointments booked or when you want your staff booked. And you can put exclusive dates. Again, if you only want that booking page available for a certain time for a special event, you can do that. So I like it in this platform, but I do think it's fair to go ahead and show you what that looks like. I'm gonna have to stop sharing and reshare because I shared it a funny way. Let me pull that over here. I know I'm breaking everything, y'all. That's what I do. Okay, y'all post in the chat if you use this on Teams. I'm very curious to see who actually uses this Teams integration. But it is available should you want to use it in Teams. You just select the little 3 dots to add an app. I've searched for it and used it before, so you can see that it's already pulling up on my screen here. But you would just, to find an app, you would type in bookings. It's the first thing that pulls up. So it's going to synchronize real quick. This is how easy it is. So you're able to see individuals, because I do share calendars with these individuals here, it's going to show me that information about that particular group. And if you have multiple calendars that you do own, you're able to switch. So we'll see. Oh gosh, now it's going to make me remember. Nope, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to remember a name. It's about as lucky as me remembering my password. So, but you can add any others that you own in here, and you can also toggle then by days to see availability, to see information. This is a great way, especially if you've got a big group, a big team of advisors or counselors or resource individuals, and you want to see kind of what that availability is, who's booked, who's not. You can jump around then and be able to toggle those days and look and see who's doing what, and make those new bookings directly from that, in case you just get a call and say, hey, I really need to meet with Nerali on Friday. Can you just go ahead and schedule an appointment? You're able to do that from here in a slightly different method than using it on that user interface. But I like to show you how this appears in Teams as well, because if you're already there, then you might as well be utilizing this and not have to jump back and forth. But a lot of those same options, making it a Teams meeting, if you want to, any of that confirmation. Sometimes you may want to send an individual text message, just especially if they're students, to give that additional reminder. They may not check their email every day, but you're able to select that if you have their phone number, and in there's the little caveat that'll say, like, do you want to receive? So you can send those text messages, reminders, you can send email confirmations. It is set to send it 1 day prior. If you want to add additional email reminders, you can do it in the actual web platform, you can do it in Teams. But again, it's a great way to send those reminders, especially if you have people booking appointments maybe 2 weeks or a month in advance. They might need those multiple reminders. So you can select those time increments if you wanted a week, 15 minutes, any of the reminder information there. So yeah, I think that's great to be able to show you that also in Teams, because it just shows that beautiful integration. So I'm going to pause here and just double check, see a few questions in the chat. Okay, let me jump over here. So I do see several questions. Some of them are a little bit more lengthy that I will need to follow up with you individuals. So please don't feel that I'm ignoring you at this moment. It just may take a little bit longer of an explanation. I see a couple that are having some issues with again, syncing and some complications there. So some of that might take some troubleshooting and some screen sharing to see, because again, this platform, let me see if I can pull it back up real quick. No, because I shared it. Let me share it again. But this platform is so uniquely customizable. It's a little bit of a blessing and a curse because it's hard to discern exactly where you may have made an adjustment to somebody's time, because you can set time limitations on the booking page, on staff, and on services. So if you're having issues, sometimes we just need to take a look at it and see, is it here on the actual booking pages that people are unavailable? Is it listed under maybe that staff member individually when they are bookable, what hours they're available? So some of the questions that I see here, I'm just going to pause. I'm not ignoring you, but we will get that information, and I will follow up with you on the particular ones. And the goal of setting up, this is a good question too. The goal of setting these up is so that you do have it as a longer term calendar. It's not a quick fix like find time if you just have a few people meeting. It is really meant for those recurring services, and those services can change. So that's what you might want to remove or hide or delete. Services will change, but you try to think of a calendar name that would keep it as generic as possible moving forward, so that you're not having to constantly create new bookings calendars. That's my advice. Yes, there is a way that you can, we can have that removed or deleted if you no longer use it, but it's not meant to create a calendar and then remove it, and then create another one for the next event and remove it. The goal is to add and remove those particular services associated with the calendar, so that you can have those clarifications based on what you're offering campus, because that does change. But your general department, unit, area that you're representing, you shouldn't have that many changes to have that removed. Okay, I think that those are the final questions that I see, other than the ones that I need to finalize. So we'll go ahead then and pull up our closing slide. I'm checking my notes, but I think I've covered everything, all of the top pieces of content for you. Again, if you want further details, I know there's a lot that these calendars can do. This was meant to be a general overview of what these services are and how to set up your calendar, and then you can customize it based on your needs. If you do need further information, we've got that KB that we sent you the link to all the KBs. There's actually quite a few articles out there already ready for you to read. But feel free to go through those once you've set it up, once you've played with this service for a little while, and see what information is out there that might assist you. If you don't mind, we'll go ahead and post in the chat too, just our survey. There's a link that you can type in. There's a QR code that you're able to scan. So whatever works for you, but we really value your feedback. It's helpful in planning these sessions, understanding what information you may need, the resources that are available to UT Dallas, the technology we support. We want you to be empowered with that and really know how to utilize these tools. So feel free to fill out that survey. Just let us know how we're doing. If you have ideas for the future, we're always looking for new content and better ways that we can support our UT Dallas community. So with that, I just want to thank you all so much for attending, for being here today. We appreciate your time. And just remember, we're always here to help.